Have you ever felt ridiculous making noises for voice training? Or wonder, how is this random exercise or this lip trill, how is that supposed to help me? Today I want to share 3 quick stories from actors who have worked on training their voice in some capacity for a role, and talk about what we can take away from those experiences and how we can apply that toward feminine voice training. So let's get into it. To prepare for his role as Johnny Cash in Walk the Line, Joaquin Phoenix worked with a vocal coach for many months. In an interview with my dearest Conan O'Brien, Joaquin talks about how uncomfortable and awkward it was to have to do all these different vocal exercises. He talks about how he felt they were unrelated to what he was actually trying to accomplish.
You know, one of the things you do in the movie, in addition to, playing the music and singing it, is that you have in the movie his deep baritone, and I was just thinking, how did you do that? I mean, you could put a gun to my head, I could never get my voice lower than like a helium squeak, but you have, I'd be like, hi everybody, I'm Johnny Cash, you know? But you, I almost got that role, and that cost me, I think. But you, really, you changed your voice, and I'm wondering, how do you do that?
With vocal lessons, working with a vocal coach, and it's the most humiliating process I've ever endured. Because you do these exercises, it's all these vowels, and you do like up and down, and it's so uncomfortable. I can't tell you. And to transition, as I hear this guy going fungity bungity dingity dingity up, I go, how do you go from that to I shot a man in Reno to watch him die?
Yeah.
It's a strange.
It's not getting you in the mood to sing a Johnny Cash song, I wouldn't think.
Very, very difficult.
I think when you're working on voice training, it's really easy to say, okay, I just need a bunch of exercises. I need these exercises to do to get me where I'm going. But I think that it is important on a certain level to understand why you're doing those exercises. What does this actually do for my voice? It's important to kind of know that connection, but it's also important to sort of trust the process. There might be things that you're doing that might seem counterintuitive to you. For instance, something I'm thinking about is like raising your pitch. If you want to extend your range upward, you're not necessarily only going to work on extending your range upward. That's a part of it. But also working on the overall health of your voice, and even expanding into your low range is going to be healthy for the high range. Working in your low range might be like, why am I doing this? I want to go the other direction. But it actually helps to support your overall voice. Voice training starts with the building blocks. You need to have a foundational knowledge of breath support, of pitch, of resonance, of vocal weight, of articulation and intonation. You have to have a basic understanding of these things to figure out how to put things together. So if you're working on something really specific, it might not seem relevant, but in the long term, it will make sense. You might feel goofy, okay? You might feel a little silly making noises, blowing bubbles, whatever you're doing. But so did Joaquin Phoenix, and then he was nominated for an Oscar. So you know what? You never know what's going to happen. So give yourself permission to play with your voice and trust the process. Kristen Stewart worked with a vocal coach for 6 months to prepare for her role as Princess Diana in Spencer, which I have not seen, but I would like to see because I'm a bit of an Anglophile, if I could be honest. I'm very fascinated by the royal family and all of that. I went to London once. I loved it. I'm behind on The Crown too. I need to get back into The Crown. So, of course, she's practicing her voice, she's practicing her accent, her cadence, everything. But through this 6-month process, she ended up developing so much tension in her jaw that she got TMJ and couldn't open her mouth prior to filming.
How do you become British? Had you ever done an English accent before? What do they teach you to place your tongue in a different place? What is it?
A lot of it, like, you have to have an ear. Some people can hear stuff, some people can't.
Right.
They make it a very physical thing, and they describe what your tongue does, how open your mouth has to be. Like, when I speak, I barely open my mouth, and like everything is all like at the back of my throat. I'm from LA, this is how I talk, whatever. When she speaks, it's open. I mean, just I have to literally, like, I look like a completely different person in trying to make that sound. I worked on the accent with my coach. I just sort of relied on him to tell me if I was, doing something totally wrong, but it was there. Like 6 months to work on it. And then, I was just sort of living in it.
Why? So if you had that confidence, how come when you go to the set, you get so fucking tight that your jaw starts to lock up? And I read about this, and this is a definite psychological thing.
Oh, yeah. I think I wasn't considering the stress because I was pushing it away. I always I used to use anxiety as like motivation, or I used to be like, oh yeah, I need to like torture myself on this movie and make it really real. And now I function so much more purely and honestly if I'm feeling safe. And so I think I was like designing this world in which I wasn't afraid, but my body knew better. And yeah,
I get it.
2 weeks before the movie, I literally couldn't open my mouth. I had such horrible TMJ, and I was like using like hot compresses and having like, I was just like rubbing my jaw all day. And the day that we started shooting, it just opened up. I wasn't even fixated on my jaw. I was just sort of like so swept up in the experience. I just sort of knew it was going to work out. It was just like, at some point my mouth will open. It has to.
So thankfully her jaw released in time and she was able to do her job. But I think that this is a really important reminder. Tension can derail your voice. And it's sneaky. It shows up in the tongue, it shows up in the jaw, it shows up in the neck. You just don't realize it probably because it's so normal to have tension there, to hold our tension here. So if you're not really in tune with that tension, it can kind of snowball. So if your jaw clicks when you talk, or it's hard to open your jaw, if your throat feels tight, or if your shoulders are kind of creeping up, probably a good idea to do some stretching to relieve some of that tension, especially in vocal feminization where we're introducing some tension. We want to counteract that and stay as relaxed as possible. If you want to follow along with some easy stretches and warm-ups, check out my video, which I've got linked here, 7 exercises for easy vocal feminization. Margot Robbie has a huge career, and she's no stranger to voice changes because she is an Australian. There's a horrible accent, but she's Australian and she has to use a lot of different accents, American accents, etc. In The Wolf of Wall Street, she played a character from Brooklyn, and it was interesting to hear her talk about how both Australian accents and Brooklyn accents drop the R.
In case our viewers haven't noticed, you're from Australia.
Yeah.
And yet your character has a very distinct accent that I recognize, having grown up on Long Island.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. How did you pull it off?
It's a really fun accent to do, and it's actually easier to do coming from an Australian accent than doing a standard American accent because, you know, there are no R's.
So give us an example.
Well, it's like, you know, like, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to her.
Exactly.
And, you know, you get your hands going.
How you do?
And, you know.
Do you have a dog?
Yeah,
I have a dog.
I have a dog and a cup
You
of
like
coffee.
yeah,
you know,
we're just having coffee. I'm giving you the coffee cup.
I'm having coffee.
You get to take the coffee cup home with
okay,
you.
You're so nice. You're gorgeous.
Oh, you're right back at you. Oh, I love you.
I love you.
Linguistically, these are called non-rhotic accents where you don't say R. Like Boston would be another one, like I popped the ka, you don't really say the R. So I'm an American gender affirming voice teacher. I speak with an American accent, Midwestern accent. And so if you're watching this, there's a good chance you don't have my same accent. I think it's important to pay attention to how your accent interacts with the basic principles of voice feminization. I did do a video on British English versus American English and the relationship between the two in vocal feminization. So if you're interested in that, I do talk about rhoticity in that video. So if you want to take a look at that, it is linked for you. So what can we take away from these actors? Number 1, if you're feeling silly with your voice, it's a good sign you're on the right track. You want to have a good understanding of why you're doing certain exercises, but you also want to trust the process. Secondly, watch out for tension. Tension can definitely derail progress, so it's another core foundational thing to focus on. So make sure you're releasing tension through a massage and stretches. And finally, we want to listen to the details. Like, what are the specific elements of your voice that are really important to make you feel like you? What is your specific accent or your specific regional accent or specific phrases that you say? How are you going to make those fit in with these principles of voice feminization? So if you found this video helpful, I would love it if you liked this video, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And if you're interested in learning more about voice feminization, I have a self-study e-course called the True Voice Vocal Feminization e-course with over 6.5 hours of video instruction. Basically everything that you need to know about voice feminization all in one place. And I also offer one-on-one consultations and ongoing lessons if that's something that you're interested in. So I will link both the course and lessons down in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.